Hey, let's have a quick talk. Have you noticed that the capital raising game has completely changed over the past couple of years? Are you a syndicator, a fund manager, a capital raiser that's struggling to attract investors beyond friends and family? And it's just become so difficult to raise enough money for your deals? Are you losing out on incredible real estate deals that are now showing up in the market because you're not confident that you can raise enough money from your investors to take down those deals? Or worse yet, are you even considering having to throw in the towel on your real estate business and go back to your W-2 because you're struggling to get those deals done due to lack of capital? This is why I created LinkedIn Capital Raising Secrets. It's a course where I teach you my proven 4-step system to turn strangers on LinkedIn to investors in your real estate deals. We teach you how to hack the LinkedIn algorithm so your target investors see your content, learn from you, like you, trust you, and invest with you. And that is just the beginning of what you'll learn. LinkedIn has over 1 billion users who are looking to grow their wealth, and you have a fantastic opportunity to tap into high net worth individuals to invest in your real estate deals. So in this 8-week on-demand course, we teach you how to find qualified leads and turn them into investors in your deals without feeling like a pushy used car salesman. Oof. So how do you sign up? Go to capitalraisengsecrets.com now and click apply. Fill out our application and see if you're a good fit for the course. We want to make sure that we can help you. And our course will show you how to raise millions and millions of dollars of capital from complete strangers compliantly on LinkedIn, just like I've done, so you don't have to worry about falling short on a raise again. Visit capitalraisengsecrets.com and click apply now to get more information. Hey, happy 2026, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the Raising Capitals for Real Estate Investors. I am your host, Amy Silvis. And if you don't know me, I am a real estate syndicator. We've got properties, commercial, so apartments, flex industrial all over the Southeast and the Midwest. And I love to help people learn how to raise capital or level up their capital raising game. So you're in the right spot. And we're going to talk today about emailing your investors. So who is this relevant to? I want to make sure you're in the right spot and your time is well spent. So if you're in the fear zone, you know our 4 phases of capital raising. You're in the fear zone where you've had little of any capital raising success. If you're in pipeline purgatory, where you've done a couple raises from friends and family, but you haven't leveled up to strangers. If you are at bottleneck breakpoints where you're consistently raising capital, but you've kind of leveled off and you're looking to get out of that plateau to the next level, or even if you're in the confidence zone where you're raising capital, it feels predictable, raises are easy for you, figuring out and optimizing your email marketing is going to be well worth your time. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks today. We're going to get in, get out, but as always, looking to make sure we give you some actionable steps here. So here is what I teach my students in my LinkedIn Capital Raising Secrets on Demand course. And that is email marketing obviously is a fantastic tool to nurture your investors. Now, is it the only way to nurture your investors? No. In fact, would argue that you should have a multi-pronged approach to nurture your investors, meaning once they know you exist, know who you are, and have maybe a tiny bit of an idea of what you do and what's in it for them, we're going to continue to help them know, like, and trust you. That often takes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 touches. So part of those touches can be social media, can be your appearances on podcasts, can be webinars, and of course, email marketing. There are a whole slew of other ways to talk to your investors one-to-many and build that relationship. We're going to focus on email marketing. First things first, you're going to need a customer relationship management system, a CRM. If you don't have a CRM, some that are popular with folks are Active Campaign, Go High Level. And hey, there are some rules and regulations in the United States around email marketing. So using one of these CRM services is going to help make sure that you stay compliant. Because guess what? If you're just spouting out emails to people and they don't have a way to unsubscribe, they don't know how to get a hold of you, you need to make sure that you're compliant. So The idea here isn't for me to be an attorney and explain all the rules and regulations, but a CRM, if for nothing other than to keep you compliant with local laws, state laws, federal laws, incredibly important. The other cool thing about a CRM, customer relationship management system, is you can segment. So, ideally, and we'll talk about this in future podcast episodes, but I teach my students ideally, you're gathering data and information from your potential investors that you're nurturing, and you're going to write different emails to different people about different topics. You're not going to send out the exact same information, the exact same emails to every single person in your CRM. So that can really allow you, again, we're building know, like, and trust. So if someone, for example, is someone that wants to use their retirement funds to invest in what you're doing, and you keep sending them emails about their savings just sitting there, not earning any interest and being eroded by inflation, that message isn't going to resonate with them, right? So, just an example of how you can segment folks, but getting to know your investors or potential investors is incredibly important as they get to know you. And segmenting is really, really important. Another thing to keep in mind is experimenting and understanding with your potential investors when they like to be talked to over a newsletter or over an email. So, doing A B testing, and you can do that quite easily in these CRMs to understand, hey, are you getting more folks opening emails from you on Wednesday afternoons, on Saturday mornings, on Monday evenings? There are some industry best practices, and we tell our students a bit more about that information in our mastermind. But, it is something that you can test yourself and A B test and see what looks good there. The same thing with the types of emails you sent out in terms of content. You can A B test that as well. We also really need to hone in on the subject line of the email and the preview text. Because guess what? When you obviously, your goal is to first get folks to open the email before they consume it. So to get them to open, that's that subject line. And then there's the preview text that you likely also see, and you'll see it too, right? In your email client. So we want to make sure that that's something not spammy, not overly clickbaity, but still grabs their attention and gives them a reason as to why they should open the email from you. And we'll talk later about open rates, click rates, and how to analyze that success there. But I just want to make sure we give you some overview there. Here is something else where I see most people make pretty huge mistakes when they send emails or newsletters. They make them read like novels. Y'all, I don't know how many emails you get in your inbox, but I'm guessing it's probably pretty similar to me, where we're all inundated. We're inundated. And quite frankly, I'm not reading anything that's more than a quick in and out. So I see syndicators, capital raisers, fund managers write absolute novels in their newsletters. And I promise you, no one's reading that stuff. Kind of similar to LinkedIn, right? And look, I am not a brief lady. I am verbose. I got a lot to say. This is something that I'm challenged with as well. But what I want to tell you, which is what I also tell my students in my course and my mastermind, is we need to keep this to a single point. Meaning, what is the point of your email? What do you want the takeaway to be? And hey, let me caveat this. This is not when you're telling people about a deal. When you've got an investment opportunity, those emails are going to be longer. That's fair. So we're not talking about that. But everything else you send, folks, I need you to get in and get out. Be brief, because no one's reading these, 5 different topic newsletters that talk about, what your aunt told you the other day. And by the way, this is what Jerome Powell said. And oh my goodness, here's the latest on the property that we're operating. Truly, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. No one cares. They just don't. They don't care. I know you care. I care for you, but your potential investors, the people that you're trying to build know, like, and trust with, do not have the time, do not have the bandwidth, and they're not reading your long newsletter or email. So let's keep it to one point. So my advice to my students is always, what do I want my potential investors or current investors to walk away with after they read this email? Choose one thing. So you can think of it like your call to action, because that's the other thing. We want all of these emails or newsletters to have a single call to action. This isn't when you're raising capital. This is when we're talking, we're building know, like, and trust. What is the one call to action? So is it to, hey, watch this podcast? Is it to, hey, visit this website? Is it, hey, reply to this email and tell me this? Is it, hey, read this book? Or whatever the call to action is, make it tied to a singular takeaway. You're going to be golden. Because the goal, right, is to add value to people. We're raising capital, but we're not going to gaslight ourselves or fool ourselves that isn't our objective in our business. But the way we do that is we show up and we fulfill people's needs. And you're going to be so much more effective at adding value, delivering a message, delivering a call to action, giving some sort of information or learning, if you keep it to a single concept, a single call to action, a single point. So I'm sorry if that's disappointed you. I'm sorry if you're someone that's writing big novels. I know we all have a lot to say, but we must view this from our investors' lens. And although we may be the most important thing in our own minds, and we may have all this exciting stuff to share, I promise you it's not the case for our investors. So brevity and being concise and keeping it to one point is going to be the most effective. And hey, let's make sure we're also not emailing people constantly as just an FYI. So there's nothing wrong with, hey, you're raising capital for a deal. You're sending out an email a couple of times a week during an active raise. We get it. You're going to be in communication a bit more often than you normally are. But my goodness, I see some fund managers, some capital raisers, some syndicators that are truly sending out 4, 3, 4, 5 emails a week when they're not in an active raise, just bloviating. And I say that with all love. I've done this myself before mistakenly. So I'm not trying to call anyone out, but it's a lot. And hey, there are going to be some people in this space that are going to tell me I'm wrong. They're going to tell me that, true people that resonate with you and I aren't going to care if we're constantly emailing them and it's going to keep us on their radar. I don't buy it. I don't think it's true. I think it ends up being too salesy, too pushy. And what I've seen in terms of my own personal experience and with others in this space who are wildly successful capital raisers, for the most part, aren't inundating people. It looks desperate. It makes the space also look overly complicated. And again, putting ourselves in potential investors' shoes, I think we can appreciate learning about hands-off real estate. If you're in real estate or whatever you're raising capital for, it has a learning curve. There are things that new folks or even experienced folks need to learn. And the last thing we want for them is to feel that this is overly complicated, overly complex, way too in depth. That's not the point, right? If they wanted that, they just buy and operate their own real estate. They're relying on us to be the experts, to simplify it for them, to give them the clear steps and the guidance. We don't need to show them as much of how much the sausage is made. Hey, and some investors, let's be very clear, some people want to know all of that. They want to dive deep. They want to sink their teeth into every single detail. Fantastic. Do that with them. Absolutely do that with them. But that's not something you're mass emailing every potential investor, all of those details. So I think there really is an art to the success of being straightforward, to the point, brief, not constantly in everyone's face, and not desperate, because we're not. We're providing opportunities. We don't need to beg people. Real estate is wonderful. It's a great opportunity for folks. It's not something where we have to follow people around and constantly harass them to get them to invest. I'm not saying that you're doing that, but let's take a second and recognize the difference between our intent and the impact of our actions. They may not always line up. So I'm just encouraging you to sit back and see things from our potential investors' perspective of what it might be like to receive 3, 4, 5 emails a week from you for weeks and weeks and months on end. It's a lot. It's a lot. So, takeaways today. I told you we're going to get in, get out. Get a CRM. Yeah. Segment. Send different messages to different investors depending upon what you know about them. A/B test. Figure out the time, the content, the day of the week that works best to send your investors, potential investors, some information. Have them build the know, like, and trust, but do some testing to understand how your list, your email list responds. Make sure you're compliant with all laws. CRM should help you do that. And have a singular point, a singular call to action, a singular what's in it for me or them for all of your newsletters or your email campaigns. Don't make it overly complicated. And I think you're going to be really excited with the results that you get. My students in my mastermind are as well. All right, y'all. Great to see you on this episode. Do me a favor, share this episode with someone that you think would find value here. We are growing. We're so grateful for your feedback. And it only takes a minute to hit that share button with somebody that you think would enjoy learning all this information too. All right, y'all. See you at next week's episode. Bye for now. Hey, real estate investors, fund managers, capital raisers, syndicators. If you are struggling with predicting how much capital you can raise for a deal, because investors say they're going to wire, but they actually back out, you struggle with finding investors beyond your network of friends and family, if you find yourself falling short on your capital raises for your real estate investments, and you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to travel to conferences all across the country, only to find that the people you're hoping to raise capital from are also trying to raise capital from you, hit the subscribe and follow button, and I promise y'all are going to love what we're going to cover here. I'm going to deliver free content every single week, week in and week out, to help you get to the next level in your real estate investing capital raises.